Welcome to the Late Night Race Review. Max gets Red Bull Horner as he takes yet another title. Toto gets Spanish GP flashback as Mercedes clash again. And it's all going well at McLaren, but is Lando ever going to get his first win in F1? It's the Qatar GP. We wrap it up with a look at our fantasy league and our predictions game, as always. Don't forget to support the podcast by hitting those like, follow and subscribe buttons. Welcome to the Late Night Race Review. I'm Owen Scott, and with me as always is Isidro Consalves and Dave Jericho. I did the other way around today for some reason. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, well, Isidro jumped in on the fucking mic test as well, so it makes no difference. Yeah,
Apologies,
everyone kicked
Dave.
me to the back of the pile.
he threw me all asunder by doing that. Apologies. Well, anyway, it's win number 49 for Max Verstappen, and one that takes him to his third title in a row. And as Max and Red Bull get a well-deserved head start on the 2024 season, we can take a look at the best of the rest for the 2023 season. It's finally beginning. Dave, we can't really start anywhere else today. It's got to be Max Verstappen. And he was back in Netflix and chill mode on the racetrack today. It was very, very comfortable for him sewing up the title. Although it wasn't quite comfortable yesterday, he did it quite comfortably this weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, look, I mean, we all knew it was coming. I just thought it was a bit of a, like, it was a bit underwhelming or something, wasn't it? Like, I mean, he won the World Championship, and it was kind of like it was done on the sprint race day, so it was kind of forgotten about. And then we were kind of into the Grand Prix then today, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, he's world champion. Like, it's like, I don't know, just kind of came and went. Like, I suppose we all knew it. Like, we'd all kind of come to terms with it. Like, you know, it's like someone's granddad dying in a long-winded death, and we're all like, yeah, it's all right, we saw it coming. Like,
that's a terrible way to explain it, but it's actually perfect.
Bus, like.
Oh God, yeah, that is actually a perfect way to describe it. In fairness, it was very underwhelming, wasn't it?
Yeah. But hang on, before we get into, I'm going to jump around here. Before we get into that, what did everyone actually make of the race today? Because of this 18 laps that they only gave for the tires, did anyone else feel like there was a lot going on? It was exciting. There was overtakes and there was like some good racing and stuff like that. But did anyone else feel it felt almost artificial or something like that? It was almost forced because you knew when the pit stops were coming. You knew like people out of position were, you know, they couldn't go any longer. It wasn't like, you know, say like George Russell when he was, or even Albon who was leading the race, or George Russell in second, and you're kind of looking at going, oh, he might be able to stretch this stint out and he might be able to go a bit longer. It was unpredictable. You're like, no, he's got exactly 4 laps to go on those tires, and we know exactly what lap he's going to come in on, and he's got another 18 laps to try and make his way up through the field again. I was just like, it was weird or something like that. I just couldn't really get in. I know they had to do it, but I just couldn't get into it really.
But for those who don't know, explain exactly why they had to do that.
So I don't know the exact reasons. Well, like, it was obviously a safety concern for the tires. They thought that after sort of 18 laps, that was anything after that, there was going to be a risk of the tires having blowouts and stuff like that. I'm not sure whether that was a combination of the heat, the new surface because it's a new laid surface on the track as well. So I know it was a combination of all, a few different factors that raised the safety concerns, and maybe that they were raised after the sprint race, that when they started seeing the wear and stuff of the tires. But yeah, like if it had to be done, it was it was the only thing that could be done at short notice. But for me, I just thought, as much as the race itself was sort of exciting, there was exciting kind of racing going on. In terms of the standings and where people I don't know, it was weird. It was just like artificial or something like that. I didn't enjoy it at all.
Surely they should they not leave that up to the teams and the drivers to decide when tires are losing their life completely? And
no, I think this was unexpected, I think. So, like I said, I think they examined the tires when Pirelli get the tires back after a race or qualifying or whatever, and they get to examine the wear of the tires. They can kind of make a judgment call, and then they would have seen that, well, those tires were going off a lot quicker than they had ever expected. So if you left it up to the teams, of course, the teams are obviously going to push it as far as they can. And I mean, you leave it up to the drivers, they'll go even further again. I mean, you only have to look at Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel for, examples of people, your drivers doing something like that. So yeah, they couldn't. Pirelli had to cover their own arse as well, that they're not open to some sort of bizarre lawsuit because they fielded a set of tires that were going to blow up every 5 seconds if drivers went 19 laps. Yeah, it had to be done. I just thought it was weird. I was just wondering what you got. Did you just find it a bit artificial, or did you just enjoy the race?
Cedro, go on. You take it.
I think, like I said, it was a bit artificial. It was usually a race. We never know the strategy of each other's team. But today, you kind of knew that when everyone was stopping. So there was not really that surprise of someone doing a long stint and just one stop. We knew that everyone had stopped 3 times. So that kind of takes the magic away.
I don't feel, in terms of enjoyment of the race, I don't think it took anything away for me, to be honest. I think the action that happened in the race was probably better this weekend than previous weeks.
And that's why Owen Scott will not be joining us for the Austin Grand Prix preview review.
Anyway, yeah, let's actually talk about Max then, Dave. Fairly comfortable today, but there was a little bit of a challenge yesterday.
Yeah, So he was put under pressure. The McLarens are just looking fucking great. I know we're going to talk about them later, but yeah, he was put under a bit of pressure. Like, I mean, he was out of position and stuff like that. Had a poor start, got kind of swallowed up by a few cars. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was what we were talking about before. Like, would he take his foot off the gas when the World Championship was done? And I know he needed the points from the sprint race to confirm it, but I just this whole weekend, I just felt that he wasn't on point the way he normally is. The sprint race, yeah, like whatever, I think that kind of take it or leave what happened there. But even just the race today, I found he was, yeah, like, I mean, he only finished he finished 6 or 7 seconds, I think it was, in the end, ahead of Piastri. Was it? Oh, actually, it was actually 4.5 seconds or 4.8 seconds, whatever, ahead of Piastri. And I'll be honest, that just says to me, like, he knew he'd won it. He was able to just kind of cruise around the heat that was there. I think he didn't want to be like everyone else, as excuse me, as Oscar Piastri said, like, they were putting in basically 57 qualifying laps because of the 18 lap kind of mandatory pit stops. It just, everyone was able to go full gangbusters for the rest of the fucking race. But yeah, I think for Max Verstappen, though, because he was so far ahead, or the car that he had, I don't think he had to put in as much effort. So I think he just kind of took his foot off the gas a bit. Yeah, it was just a meh.
Yeah,
it was like a meh way of announcing your third world title for some reason. It was just just non-event for me.
I think he's just so good now that he doesn't have to announce his world title. He's just like, nah, this is nothing to me now. It really isn't anything.
We get to Austin, he goes, oh, by the way, lads, do you remember last weekend I won the world championship? And you're like, oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure he had a pit stop spare to like pull in and do his income tax reports, and then he got back out again, and that's what that 4.8 seconds was.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Isidro, is there a glimmer of hope for the 2024 season, or are we just going to see a rinse and repeat of this year again? Is Max going to be streaks ahead, or with that McLaren little flicker of hope, do you think we'll get something a little bit different?
I think it'll be different. McLaren, we can see that when McLaren's at their best, the Red Bulls, they kind of suffer a little bit. I don't know if Max just feels the pressure of having the McLarens on their tail. So if McLaren keep the rocket ship as they have at the moment, I think we'll have a more interesting 24 season.
From tractor to rocket ship. Dave, Sergio Perez, speaking of tractors, polar opposite weekend to Max. I don't know if there's a word bad enough to describe what he did this weekend. It's not looking good for Sergio, is it?
It's a polar opposite season, never mind.
Well, yeah.
Polar opposite race for this weekend. Like, he I'll be honest. I'm saying it. I'm broken record now saying it, but I'm sure Helmut Marko and Christian Horner are thinking we got to get someone else in next season. Like he's just not on it in the slightest. I mean, I know he started from the pit lane today. I can't. Does anyone know what actually was the reason for that? Actually, I kind of missed that.
It was a power unit.
Power unit. So okay, so not his fault. So he started from the pit lane today. But if you look at like George Russell, at one point ended up at the back of the pack today and made his way up. Perez obviously starting from the pit lane, but didn't really kind of, he was pushing up through the pack, but kind of once he got to that middle of the pack, kind of, he wasn't really pushing hard enough to get through it. Well, he was obviously pushing hard enough that he was getting the 5-second penalties. I mean, he was collecting those things like he was fucking trying to fill out a World Cup fucking sticker album. Like, but yeah, I mean, and the worst thing was he got lapped by Verstappen. Like, I mean, Jesus, like, if you're getting lapped by your teammate, that is absolutely shocking. Like in any circumstance. So I'll be honest. Yeah, I said it before. Say it again. I like Perez. I thought he was a great driver when he was at Force India. And I think, though, now it's time for him to find a drive elsewhere, and Red Bull to, I don't know who they bring in, but they have to bring in someone else. Like, there's no point in running the risk next season that a potential like a McLaren or Mercedes don't kind of come with a more competitive car, and you're left with Verstappen basically just having to carry the whole team. Like, can't run that risk.
Are we looking at a Red Bull, possibly the same scenario that Mercedes had a few years ago, where you had Bottas and Hamilton? Although Bottas is a great driver, when he found himself down the grid a little bit, he often found it very, very hard to get past anyone.
That's
and
right, yeah.
Hamilton was left out the front fending for himself. They looked for someone new, someone young, an exciting driver to come through and help Hamilton, although it hasn't really fully worked out yet, even though they're doing quite well this season. Do Red Bull look at that the exact same way and say, look, we've got to bring in someone young, someone new?
They won't go with they won't go with a rookie again, or someone unexperienced. I'll be honest. Someone will fucking shoot me for saying it. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and force a move for Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh,
I know Daniel Ricciardo's got the drive for AlphaTauri for next season, but I mean, I'm pretty sure Red Bull can veto that in some shape or form. Yeah. It would mean that they've got an experience, but I mean, that's a bit of an unknown as well. I mean, Daniel Ricciardo's been out vast majority this season since he's come back. He's only done did he do 3 races this season? 2 races, something like that. Yeah. So they don't know really what he's capable of. So I mean, that's a bit of an unknown. Lawson's probably more of a known quantity than Daniel Ricciardo is. So but I don't know. I whatever they decide to do, it has to be a move away from Perez. I don't think if I was them, I wouldn't run the risk going into 2024 season with when you start seeing teams like McLaren making such strides in development that they've been doing. I mean, they've come from the back of the grid to the front of the grid in the space of a few races, like in the space of maybe 6, 7 races, something like that, maybe 8 races. Yeah. So that surely is going to be a bit of a concern for them next season, and having Max just carry the team on his own, yeah, that's too much of a risk.
Yeah. And Sergio, the string of 5-second penalties that Perez had today for track limits, again, we're looking at Verstappen has the same machine that Perez does, but the quality just wasn't there from Perez today, was it?
No, and it's nothing new. Perez for the last couple races, it's been worse and worse, very, very far away from what we seen at the beginning of the race of the season, actually, that we'd see Verstappen and Perez 1-2, and now we feel surprised if Perez can make it to the end of the race. Yeah. And today, I think it was just another, if Red Bull needs another proof that they need to find another driver today was just another example that Perez, he's a good driver, but if Red Bull wants to have a better 2024 season, they need to find a replace.
Yeah.
Even if it's Ricardo and AlphaTauri could keep Lawson and do Yuki and Lawson and have Red Bull with Max and then Ricardo.
Yeah, yeah. We could speculate all day as to who would sit in that seat, but I think we can probably tie a little bow on that conversation, unless Sergio Perez does something phenomenal in the next few weeks. Oscar Piastri, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do my best Andy Gray accent. Take a bow, son. Take a bow. A near flawless weekend for the rookie, and gave his mother good reason to miss that Pilates class this week. Quali was excellent, sprint race, albeit helped by the tyres. Then again today had the pace and ability to hold off Lando and secure a lovely win and a podium over the 2 days. Dave, give me your thoughts on the young Aussie.
He's class, isn't he? I mean, it's like, other than probably the last kind of great kind of rookie season we've seen was, and obviously it would have been better than Piastri's at the moment, but was probably Lewis Hamilton's rookie season. But since then, I can't. I was trying to remember any rookies that have actually kind of consistently got podiums and put in performances that Piastri has. And if anybody has one or can think of one, please let me know, because I couldn't find one outside of Lewis Hamilton. But he's absolutely class. Like, and I think McLaren are kind of thinking that was well worth the that fight with Alpine to get him over to their side. I think they've got a great driver pairing now going in for next season. Like, get Piastri bedded in now this season, ready for next season when they've got the car developed. I mean, they are going to have a fucking savage team. And then even today, like when they were in the race today, like you said, I thought there when Lando wanted to overtake Piastri and he's saying, "Oh, what are we doing here? Like, I've got, I'm a little bit quicker," and he was kind of giving it was like a bit of a jokey kind of radio call, like a bit of a cheeky one. But then I thought, okay, yeah, he does look like he's quicker. But then when the gap started dropping off, I thought that was because Lando had been told to hold station, because it went from, he was kind of close within DRS, and then it sort of dropped back to 2 seconds. And then it turned out that Piastri had actually put his foot down and was actually speeding up. So he clearly had the pace there on Lando. It wasn't just Lando had to sit back and hold station for team orders. It was clear he had the pace today. And I mean, largely, I mean, like I said, other than the way the pit stops were working, like it kind of threw, it kind of made, at some points, it kind of made it look a little bit worse than it was. He was further back, he was further forward. Like, it threw things a little bit out of sync for a while. But it was clear he had it well covered today, so he did.
Yeah, and Dave, there was a little issue with the interview and knowing his actual position when he finished. Was that yesterday?
Yeah. That was brilliant, wasn't it? And I just thought it was funny because it was like a comedy sketch show or something like that. They were interviewing. No, what was it? It was Lando that was supposed to be interviewed. I think it was Lando that was supposed to be interviewed, and then he walks off, and then they got Piastri in, and then Naomi Shiv kind of goes, "Oh, we just got word that it's a 5-second penalty for you as well, so you're not actually P3 either." And I thought that when I was watching, I was kind of like, I think she's made a mistake. I think she thought that was the one for Lando, who's now been knocked back to 6. I don't think she realized it was Piastri. And then everyone was kind of like, who's P2? Who's P3? What's going on? And having to say to Lando or to Piastri that he wasn't P3, and he just turns around and says something like, "Oh yeah, thanks for that." Like, as if like, you've just wasted my time here. Like, it's brilliant. I thought that was funny. Love that.
All right, Isidro, Lando Norris, on the other hand, while performing excellently again, ultimately couldn't get the better of Oscar Piastri today. And although Dave alluded to it earlier on, he cut a bit of a confused figure when asked to hold position near the end of the race. Ultimately, Lando, he is a team player, but do you think he'll be a little bit frustrated coming away from the weekend?
No, I don't think he has any reason to feel that. Overall, it was a very good weekend for McLaren at the end of the day. that's what it counts, because there's not much difference on the drivers. I mean, he is 7 at the moment. He might reach Leclerc next week or in 2 weeks' time, but that's it. I think they should be starting to think about the 2024 and how Norris and Piastri work as a team. And if they keep the same teamwork they've been having so far, I think they'll be a serious contender for the championship next year. And Norris is definitely a big part of it.
Yeah. From a selfish point of view, Dave, is there not a little part of Lando that will be looking at Piastri's sprint, and even though it's a sprint race win, it's still a win, and Lando has not achieved that yet?
Oh yeah, he'd be, of course. I mean, especially as he's the rookie driver and the so-called number 2. Of course, he's going to be. But that's, I don't know. They seem to have a good, friendly relationship at the moment, so I think that's good. Whilst that lasts, I mean, that will all change if they do have a title contending car next year. That friendship will probably be tested to the limits. But for now, though, I think it's good rivalry, and they'll obviously both want to outdo each other. So I still think Lando would be the more favored driver there, more experienced. But I think as well, the when people kind of saying, the way they're saying at the moment, like McLaren sort of in the constructors championship, they're saying, oh, they're going to soon they're battling basically with Aston Martin. Mm-hmm. They're saying, oh, the rivalries that are there in the constructors is McLaren and Aston Martin, and then Ferrari and Mercedes.
Yeah,
I was kind of thinking of that. I was like, I think McLaren will breeze by Aston Martin this season, and I'll be honest, I think they could, by the end of the season, they could be getting close to Ferrari as well if Ferrari don't kind of snap out of it. I mean, if McLaren keep getting P2 and P3, no reason why they can't overtake Ferrari in the constructors by the end of the season.
Yeah. So McLaren currently on 219 and Ferrari on 298. So not a lot of points in the difference, with a few second and third places for McLaren.
Exactly, like.
And Clown College coming back into session, possibly for Ferrari.
And I would imagine I would imagine Austin coming up now is going to be a track that'll favour these lads as well. Like so, so I wouldn't be surprised to see another 1-2 or another 2-3 from. The way we're kind of I wouldn't be surprised to see a 2-3 from McLaren. Obviously, Verstappen being the number 1, and obviously Perez not even in the conversation.
Yeah. But we've just been conditioned now. It's Pavlov's dogs. We've been conditioned to like Verstappen's just first. That's just the way it is.
That's the end of the story. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we've been saying it a few times. It's like we're just waiting for Verstappen to get over the line so the season can actually start and we can see who's competing with who and where the real title race is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does. It starts next weekend in America, of all places. But let's move on, lads. Let's get to Mercedes. This was an interesting little back and forth today. We'll start with George Russell, and the luck was nowhere near him today. I'd say he'll feel extremely hard done by, because it really seemed that his Mercedes had the pace to grab P2 today, Dave, did it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would have thought so. That, I mean, he judging by the speed that he came through the pack continuously after every pit stop, he was making his way up quite aggressively. I think easily he had a podium on anyway. But I mean, P4 was still a hell of an achievement from being P18 or whatever at the end of the first lap or whatever it was. So I think as much as he was hard done by at the start. I'll be honest, like, I mean, even if he took Verstappen at the start, I don't think he would have held that position. So yeah, it was a good recovery drive from him. Hard done by from the start. But I mean, look, we'll get in. I'm sure that'll be your next question, is about the incident at the start. So, but the drive from the back, I think he'd be definitely. Who got we'll talk about drive of the day at the end anyway. So, but good drive, really good drive.
Yeah, and speaking of that turn one incident, both drivers pinned the blame at the time squarely at each other's feet, with George citing sandwiches and Lewis saying that he got taken out by his own man. But in the light of day, Hamilton turned around and took the blame for the incident. Isidro, shades of Hamilton Rosberg in this incident, or was it a little less than that?
Yeah, we could say that there was some Hamilton Rosberg feeling at the time, but as Hamilton said, my fault. Sorry, mate. I think that was a difference.
Yeah.
Back in the day between Rosberg and Hamilton, I don't think Hamilton would be so quick to say, "Oh, it's my fault. Sorry about that." But it was there was nothing that Hamilton could say other than "It's my fault. I'm sorry." And I'm surprised to see Russell to come back from the P18 and finish P4 after all that.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave, go on.
You know, one thing I thought was fun, that was strange about Russell's drive on lap 51 or whatever, he came in for soft tires and he was going to come out about 12, 13 seconds or something like that behind, excuse me, behind Lando Norris. And I was like, oh, it's soft tires now. You go fucking gangbusters on these and he'll catch them by, he might get 2 seconds a lap. I mean, whether he took Norris or not, I thought he'd kind of get up to the back of the McLarens. But he went backwards. Like, he came out on a set of, I don't know, a couple of lap old soft tires, like maybe 2-3 lap old soft tires. And he was losing, like, I think he lost like a second a lap or something, but maybe more, maybe 1.5 seconds a lap by the end of the race. And the commentators were kind of saying that, oh, well, looks like he's trying to preserve his tires to fend off Charles Leclerc towards the end of the race. But it didn't even look like that. It looked like he was falling more into the clutches of Leclerc behind. And that says to me, like, if he went out on 3 lap old tires, surely you would have assumed he could have gone flat out for 6 laps, 5-6 laps. And you know, okay, even if he wasn't going to catch the McLaren, certainly put enough of a buffer between him and Lando, or him and Charles, that it wasn't going to be a concern come the last sort of laps when his tires completely fall off the cliff. Yeah. But it was weird. He just came out and just like, it wasn't even like he gave it a go for the first lap on his out lap or anything like that. He just instantly he came out and he was 15 seconds behind on the out lap. And then I think by the end of the second lap out, he was like 19 seconds behind or something like that. So yeah, I would be interested to know what happened there. It was really weird.
Was there maybe slight fatigue or something coming into play? Because there's a lot of players, a lot of drivers today affected.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, he was one of the drivers that was constantly being seen trying to, with his visor open, trying to get air in, and with his hands up above the cockpit, trying to get, sort of air down, funneling the air down and stuff like that. So, yeah, could be just kind of came in for the last pit stop and just fucking, fatigue hit all in one go. And he was drained. He just thought, let's just keep this on the racetrack and get it to the end. Yeah, very possible. Very possible.
A brief little jump into that, Dave, while we're talking about it. Ocon and Sargent, maybe, that were the other two that were affected by that today.
I think a lot of them were. So, yeah, there's a bit of a debate now. I think the drivers are calling for, well, they've raised safety concerns about the race being held sort of when it did. And I don't think it's necessarily when the race was held because of the heat. It was the fact that it was the heat accompanied by the 18 laps, which meant that they were, the 18 lap pit stops, which meant, like Piastri said, they were doing basically 57 qualifying laps, which they've never, they don't do. Yeah. So they weren't able to kind of take a breather throughout the race. So as a result, Logan Sargent, who was apparently recovering from a stomach bug that he had previously, but, obviously hadn't fully recovered, went out, and then dehydration set in, and he was, sick enough that he had to retire. Was obviously a bit. I think it was more so that he wasn't just that he was feeling sick, that he was going to puke. I think it was more so that he was sick, fatigued, and ready to pass out. Like, so I think that was just a safety concern. But Ocon was saying then that he ended up puking in his helmet on lap 15. So he drove the rest of the lap with a helmet full of vomit.
Gross.
fair which is horrific. So I get it. Like, there's so I know they're saying that there's safety concerns and they've raised the questions and stuff like that. But I think it was just a bit of a perfect storm that there was the heat, the 18 laps that they didn't know about the tires and the, like 57 qualifying laps. So, but I think next year it's going to be held 6 weeks later, I think, in the calendar. So they reckon the temperatures will be a little bit lower. So instead of being 40 degrees, they might be 39 degrees or something. But yeah, it's strange. I haven't seen that since trying to think now. I remember seeing Lewis Hamilton in one of I think it was, I want to say it was a race, and it was the Austin race, or circuit, or was it Circuit of the Americas or whatever it's called. I think, wasn't it that race Lewis Hamilton? Do you remember he was on the podium, and it was almost like people had to nearly hold him up. He was ready to faint. Do you remember that? I'm trying to think when that was.
Was that Brazil? No. Was it
Brazil?
Brazil?
I can't remember, but that's the last time now I've seen a driver to that extent. And now I know going back into the, like, when I started watching Formula One first in the 80s and stuff like that, it was a bit more common. Drivers used to get out of the cockpits and they just used to collapse, it was. But in recent years, it's not.
Was that, sorry to cut across you there, was that to do with the porpoising thing? No.
No, that was but yeah, there was issues with that, but no, that wasn't that. There was it was one of his world championship winning drives, one of his seasons where he won the world championship, and he was he was absolutely exhausted. And I thought he was kind of, it was at that time when Lewis was he was a bit dramatic, and he was, and it did kind of appear that he was trying to, I don't know, I always felt like he was trying to mimic drivers from the past, and give something more to his title-winning seasons and stuff like that. But I mean, in hindsight, it wasn't like he was actually, just run off his feet, so. So yeah, haven't seen that recently. So, because I mean, they do tend to take a little bit more care. So it was unusual that this kind of sort of these events were able to transpire and cause these kind of incidences with the drivers. But look, at the end of the day, everyone survived, and we go on to Austin.
Interestingly enough, they allowed Michael Massey to organise this event this weekend. Did you realise that?
I did, yeah, from his cubicle
with his crayons
after he finished cleaning
it. All right, we'll just take a little look down. down the...
They handed Michael Massey Ocon's helmet. you just get your cleaning cloths out there, Michael.
Oh, poor old Michael. Yeah, let's have a look down the grid. I was going to ask a question about Charles Leclerc. When I was researching, I had the word meh. He started fifth. He was fifth, I think, in qualifying. He was fifth in the sprint shootout, maybe as well, and he finished fifth today. Bit of a non-event, really, for Charles, maybe, Isidro.
Yeah, he was transparent in this weekend. Basically, there was nothing extraordinary happening for him. I think Sainz was more in the limelight, especially because he was missing today due to issues in the car. But overall, I don't think there was anything to say about Leclerc. Like I say, meh. It was basically
meh.
He sum up his weekend.
He didn't get sick in his helmet. I think that's the only news from Ferrari. Dave, tell me about Carlos Sainz. He had a fuel leak before the race. No, yesterday, was it?
No, today, yeah. The fuel systems, yeah, they didn't. They weren't able to resolve it in time for the race, so that was just a bit unfortunate for him. So, but to be fair, I think Carlos Sainz's race was more exciting than Charles Leclerc's race.
He looked like he was on great crack watching on there, doesn't he? Sainz qualifying then. Where did he qualify actually?
P12.
P12. Okay, so there was going to be a battle there to make his way through the grid anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I don't know, Carlos Sainz just seems to be on form a little bit. I would have fancied something from him. So it was a bit unfortunate. Plus, he's in my F1 fantasy team, so it was kind of a bit gutted that he went out. But yeah.
Yes, go on, Isidro.
Just one thing, because Sainz was not in the grid. Hülkenberg got a 10-second penalty for wrong position in the grid.
Yes, that was interesting. He was just so used to driving up behind the driver in front of him that he just took Sainz's place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He was not a happy bunny today, Nico Hulkenberg. There was a code that was given to him over the radio, and he was not happy about getting that code. Do you remember, Dave, what that was?
Oh,
Strat.
no, it was like, what was it like? It was like, it wasn't Mode 10. It was like Mauve 10 or something like that. Mauve
Yeah.
10 something 6 or something. I can't remember what it was. But I think even didn't Hulkenberg respond with what the hell's that?
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, that was interesting to hear. He was very pissed off. That was Magnussen, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Magnussen,
I
was
think
it?
it was Magnussen,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
actually, rather
right.
than
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than Hulkenberg. But no, we don't talk about Haas in this podcast. Let's get away from that.
No,
Um,
although Haas have apparently a completely revamped car coming in Austin.
oh, great.
Yeah,
It'll
revamped to soundness, but yeah,
Yeah, it'll still be black and bland, black and white and bland.
yeah.
I'm sure. Um, Dave Fernando Alonso today.
Mm.
Again, he was having trouble controlling the car. He had a bit of a spin off during the race, but he complained at one stage that his bum was on fire. Did you find out anything about that?
No, but that's not uncommon. Like I've heard that, like we've heard that a few times in races where you know, there's so like to say you're literally sitting on top of the engine. Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not, sometimes I don't know whether heat shielding can slip or sort of, sort of batteries and stuff like that can sort of heat up a little bit more than they maybe normally would given the heat of Qatar. So yeah, it's not uncommon that you've heard that, but I've heard it worse though. I mean, you've literally heard. Trying to think who it was, and it's within the last few years. And they ended up retiring. They ended up getting out of the car because it was actually burning their arse. I want to say it was like Ocon or someone like that. I can't quite remember now. Jeez, I'm useless. I don't know how people retain so much, facts. Like I can't remember every fucking race and every incident. There's people that are just gonna go, oh yeah, that was fucking X race in 2001.
Yeah.
But yeah, but anyway, it's not uncommon. But yeah, there was nothing they could do about it. I mean, you either retire the car, like they can't give you anything to cool yourself down or shield you or soak you in water. Anything they do is going to weight the car more and make your driving even more fucking horrendous. So yeah, he just had to deal with it. And I'll be honest, like it obviously, his ass is still intact, so I think it wasn't as bad maybe as it possibly could have been. Although to be fair, if the rest of them were having such a horror show with the heat in Qatar, there'd be nothing worse than having the heat in Qatar along with a radiator.
Yeah.
Sitting
right underneath you.
in your arse, like.
They were talking on Sky Sports about possibly getting a bucket of water as he came into the pits and throwing it into the cockpit, but it didn't happen. Didn't happen.
But that's what they were saying. Like, I mean, that's they were saying, like, I mean, that's over a kilo of water or whatever it was going to be, like, and that's going to be like probably a tenth per lap or something like that. They threw that bucket of water. Although to be fair, it probably would have evaporated by the time he left the pit lane.
Yeah, before it even hit him.
Exactly.
I want to have a brief little chat and see what your opinions are because I I flip-flopped back and forth on this one throughout the season. For me, Lance Stroll started the season as a little bit of a hero. He broke his wrists and he came back and he had a great race. And then he went back to being really boring again. Last season, I think I hated him.
Yeah.
And now this season, he's very squarely this week gone back into the hate camp. The issue with walking into the garage and pushing his personal trainer out of the way gives off the daddy owns this company vibes, doesn't it really?
Yeah, there's a bit of that, wasn't there? Like, it's a bit of a, yeah, this is my party. This is my party.
It's been a horrific season for him. Is there, well, firstly, is there a way out for him? Does he have a choice? Can he leave if he wants to? Should he leave?
Do you know, it depends whether he's able to prove whether this is genuinely just a driver car pairing that's not working or whether he's just off the boil completely. Because if it is a case that the team can see, do you know what, this car just does not suit him. and it doesn't suit his driving style. He's not getting used to the balance of the car, as Lance Stroll has kind of indicated or leaned towards. Then maybe they'll kind of say, look, we've seen him perform in the past. We know he's able to deliver. So we'll give him another shot next season, which would make sense if they have those facts. But I mean, from what we see as fans and from the TV coverage that we see, all we can say is like, it doesn't look good. Like, I mean, why would you, and like the frustration, like, I mean, shoving his personal trainer. I mean, I don't even know what that's about. I mean, that's a bit weird. Like, I mean, if someone's your personal trainer, you have a fairly close bond with that person. Like, you know, you'd have a fairly friendship level relationship. I mean, you only have to look at like Lewis Hamilton with what's her name, Angela? Is it Angela something? Was it
Angela? Yeah.
And like, it's a very close relationship. Like, and so to just go, you know, to get out of the car in a strop because you've gone out of qualifying, guy followed him and then he just shoves him. Like, I mean, unless the guy has said something like, out again, Stroll. You know, like, unless he said something smart to him, why would you shove him? Like, you know, like, fucking hell. You know, we've only put the kettle on, lads. It hasn't even boiled yet.
I would love to actually hear what he did say to him to warrant that shove. It was very.
But you'd imagine he didn't say anything. You'd imagine he just kind of asked, "Do you need anything?" or something. You know, like, it's a person. That's what he's there to do. Like, you know, yeah, I don't know, but sorry, just all these other jokes just popping into my head now about what you could have possibly have said to him.
Vet them first before you actually say them out loud.
Exactly.
The other thing that was brought to everyone's attention was the interview. Then I think very close after all of that happened, where was it Sky or maybe the Dutch?
No, it wasn't. It was some
Zivo.
Oh, I don't know. It sounded like almost. I think maybe it was an Australian.
Oh, possibly.
Was it Australian one? I can't remember. But
I thought it was Sky, but it obviously wasn't. But it was one question, one answer, or one word answer, another question, and a swear word answer, and then the third one was just he just bailed.
Yeah, and you know, I saw some reports as well from the sort of the presser that he did, where there was some, you know, the sort of the written journalists were in asking questions, and the answers were sort of like they were just absolutely smart ass. Like so he was asked obviously about shoving his personal trainer.
Yeah.
And he kind of says like, are you aware of kind of what's, you know, or no, kind of, are you aware of kind of what's happening around this and the sort of the what was it, the sort of the image that is being portrayed on social media, that's being circulated around social media. And he's kind of like, oh, I'm not paying attention to social media. I'm driving a car this weekend, aren't I? Like, well, apparently not. You went out of Q, you went out Q1, like, but like just that kind of smart ass shit, like, you know. And I get deflecting from the question because he doesn't want to answer why he pushed his personal trainer. Like, that's like basically saying, why are you a dickhead, Lance? And then answering it, like, so you know, I can understand deflecting from it, but he didn't just deflect, he just gave a fucking smart ass answer, like, you know. So yeah, I'll be honest, get stuffed, like, you know. I don't have time for that kind of stuff in drivers. I like a bit of arrogance. I know, like, I bitch and moan about drivers that are a bit arrogant and stuff like that. And I understand sometimes they get a bit, they have enough of the media and stuff like that, so they get a bit short. So you don't mind that, but this just stinks of spoiled, like, say, daddy owns the company, spoiled brat. I can, you know, just again, it was like someone you like seeing a rich kid at their birthday party, and just, you know, someone's looking at their toys and they just fucking snatch it off them and run off with it. You know, like, it's just fuck's sake.
Giving out about the white Rolls Royce that they got because they wanted the black one or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Isidro, Lance Stroll, are we getting rid of him or are we keeping him around? Are you in favour of Daddy's little boy, or what's the story?
I'm surprised that Stroll lasted as long as he did, because they have a very good driver there, Drugovic, just waiting to sit on the Strolls and just start making points. helping Alonso, because at the moment Alonso is the only one keeping Aston Martin afloat, giving points. Stroll, it does nothing. Basically, if it's not his dad there, if it was any other team, Stroll would be out already.
Yeah.
Based on his behavior, based on his not driving. At least he doesn't crash the car as often as Sargent. But
That's true.
that's the only silver lining, really.
Yeah, Dave, got.
I would say he's got, as much as it makes no sense whatsoever, I reckon he'll be there next season.
Yeah, he will. He will. Of course, he will. Just role play with me, Dave, for a second. If you are Lawrence Stroll and you're going to fire your own son, what way are you doing it? Is it a walk in the woods on a Sunday? Are you?
I think it will be one of these. I bought you a new house and a car in the driveway. Oh, Daddy, thanks very much. By the way, you're fired. See ya.
This is the only car you're driving next year, by the way.
What?
Right.
And you know, he'll be so arrogant that he'll turn up to the next race.
Yeah, yeah.
Ready to go, lads. Did no one tell you were fired?
Anyway, I think that kind of brings us to everything in the race. I want to briefly mention that Alex Albon led the race for a little while, and then it was taken back off him again, and ended up in P13. But will we get on to our driver of the day?
Yeah, driver of the day and loser of the day.
All right. Cedro, what the stats from the race? You normally give us a nice little breakdown.
The driver of the day, that it was Oscar Piastri, with and followed by Russell. And let me see if I have the numbers.
Isidro frantically panicking, trying to get the numbers that he doesn't have prepared.
Nice.
All right, let's just go with we know it was Piastri that got driver of the day.
Yeah,
officially.
That's okay.
So,
Dave,
Isidro,
who's
if you
yours?
fuck that up, then who is your driver of the day and loser of the day? Oh no, we go driver of the day first for everybody, and then loser of the day. Is that the way we do it?
Yeah.
All right, go on, Isidro.
My driver of the day?
Yeah.
Piastri.
Piastri.
Controversial. Yeah, mine's the same. It's Piastri. Has to be.
My driver of the day is George Russell.
Oh yeah. I could see you giving that. Yeah. Yeah, that was a fairly uninteresting one.
Yeah.
All
All right, Isidro, your loser of the day.
My loser of the day would be Hamilton.
Yeah.
That's the first turn, and that was the end of it. So.
Yeah, as in he is a loser for trying to make that move.
And for everything, destroying the car, making a rookie move, just everything.
Yeah, rookie move. I'm going to give my loser of the day to Ocon, because he had to drive around so many laps with puke in his helmet.
That's nice. A good shout, actually. Yeah, in fairness, like
horrible in that heat as well. It's boiling in there.
Be absolutely boven.
Yeah, no, not a hope. Gross.
All right, I'm my loser of the day is the same as my driver of the day, George Russell.
Yeah, that's a great shout. Yeah, that's great.
He had the opportunity, I think, of a podium, and then he got sandwiched between his teammate and Verstappen. Ended up at the back of the grid. And then, he got loser of the day because I think there was more in it for him, but he got driver of the day because he went from the back of the grid to P4, and that's more that can be said for Sergio Perez.
That's a great shout. Very, very good. All right, Dave, will we go predictions game?
Yeah, all right. Hang on, before we do, let's give a quick shout for the fancy. Let's see where we're at. Do we have anything to report on, or are we all still fucking waiting? I think there's some results in, but currently we still have my feather at number 1. I am in number 4. My wife is in number 7. Not that anyone knows who that is, but Isidro, you are 17th. You have moved up to 17th. Fucking hell, lofty
nice,
heights.
Man.
And Scotty, I'm still scrolling. I'm still scrolling.
Just keep swimming.
You are in 22nd.
Cool. How many out of how many out of interest?
27.
Oh, grand. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, you've a bit of a buffer of five teams before you hit rock bottom, so you've still got time to get there.
five bots, probably.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So that's the fancy. We'll post the sort of the final updated results when these guys get their shit together and we publish our podcast. But until then, you'll have to wait, and that's just I think that's just including the sprint race and the qualifying.
Cool.
So, right, without further ado, let's get on to our predictions game. Good God, this is a train wreck. So I went with, hang on a second. Jesus, let me get up where are we at here? Let me get up the results and stuff like that so we can do a little bit of comparisons. Oh, bollocks. Sorry, I just seen something there. All right. So top three, mine was Verstappen, P1. I got one for that. Norris, bollocks, P2. And Sainz didn't even get out of the grid, P3.
Even worse.
Carriage.
Now, I'm going to say that I'm fairly unlucky with this prediction because I got the top three, but I just got them in the wrong order.
I wouldn't say you were fairly unlucky. I mean, you went for big air. Right?
I took a massive stab, and ultimately I regret putting Verstappen in P2, but I went Norris P1, Verstappen P2, Piastri P3. So unlucky.
Goose eggs all around.
Fudge.
The problem is, though, had you not put Norris P1, I'd say you probably still would have put Norris P2.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So,
I would have got 1 point just.
But, well, then again, at least you would have got 1 point out of it. You got
nothing. Exactly.
All right. Zidro.
Got Verstappen, Norris, and Hamilton.
Righty. So we got 1 point and 2 goose eggs.
Everyone high on Norris last week.
What?
Everyone was high on Norris last week.
Yeah, we're riding the train.
Yeah.
Sorry, that just no, never mind. I won't touch that joke.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Wise.
So I went. My flop was Piastri, so that was a success.
Hilarious. I went for the Alpine double DNF. Could have happened.
It could have happened.
Just didn't this week. So
no.
Yeah.
And Zidro.
I went with the Ace double DNF.
Yeah. That did not happen either.
Just as likely though.
Oh, I went for my surprise. I went for Perez outside the top 10, and he fucking finished 10th.
Just to upset you.
Just when you reminded me earlier, Zidro, that I went with Perez outside the top 10, I was like, oh, class, he finished 11th, didn't he? And then I just checked, and I was like, shit, no, it was 10th.
Yeah. I went for Zhou outside the top 10, and he did. I think he finished, what?
P9, I think.
No.
Oh, inside the top
10.
10. No, in the top 10.
Yeah.
My bad, sorry. I thought I was doing my flop.
Wait, hang on, he finished inside the top 10 for...
Yeah. I get a point, yeah.
Bottas did P8.
Yeehaw!
Zidro.
Albon top 10.
So...
Oh, that's unlucky.
Yeah, that is...
he was having a great race.
Sharing the points this week. That is 1 point apiece. So there is no changing in the table then. Well,
God damn it.
Had
I put Verstappen P1, that would have been it. I would have got the point.
Me and Isidro both on 10 points at the top. And Scotty, you are now on 7.
Yeah.
That is going to be some fucking comeback if you make that for the end of the season.
That's it. Full Kim Kardashian.
Right. USA, Austin, Circuit of the Americas. I keep saying Circuit of the Americas, and for some reason that sounds wrong, but I know it is. Correct. Okay. I am going with. Hang on. Let me bring up my notes. What did I go with? Yeah, I've gone Verstappen, of course. I'm gonna ride the McLaren fucking bandwagon. I'm going Norris and Piastri, P2 and P3. I just think this track will suit them.
Interesting. I'm going to go somewhat similar. I have Verstappen P1. I'm not making that mistake again. I'm going to go Norris P2, and I'm going to go Russell P3.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Zidro, should I just type in Verstappen now, or?
Yeah. Verstappen
Okay.
first. Sainz second. Piastri third.
Sainz. Ooh.
Yeah,
Lord.
I think he'll be back for Americas.
Yeah.
Oops, I wrote Piastri, not Piastri. Oh, there you go. All right. Oh, we do flops first. Okay. Right. My flop is is Daniel Ricciardo DNF on his return.
That was mine too.
Oh, shite.
There we go. Filled them in.
What'd you go with, Scotty?
I went for Guan Yu Zhou outside the top 10.
Oh,
Fuck's sake. That's
I'm playing the rules, baby.
that's the usual. The inside top 10 is more.
yeah. This
one in
is
the
this
millennium.
is.
Well, I mean, he got inside the top 10 this week, so
I know it's the rules. Like
it's
so,
the rules, man.
We need to review the.
I'm just
We
taking-
do need for next
2024.
season. These rules are being locked down. There's going to be a rule book that's going to be his fucking.
What is the rule book? Because he's shit, he doesn't get to
Yeah,
be the
yeah.
rules.
There's going to be a lot of that in the rule book.
The rule doesn't apply to him because he's shite all the time.
The last time Joe was inside top 10 was in Spain.
I know. That's why it's so genius. Don't hate the player, Cedro.
I mean, I don't have any argument against it because that is technically the rule, but it's just unfortunately our rules are so fucking loose and shit that they're easily exploited.
Yeah, it has to be done.
All right. Isidro, you went with
Ricardo DNF.
Ricardo DNF.
That's why I was saying
you-
that Ricardo was back for Texas.
Do you want to roll the dice on whether it's a technical difficulty or a crash?
The difficulty from the car or from the driver?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm going to keep it open. Can be anything. It's
See,
Ricardo
I'm
driving for the
gonna
third time.
you get 2 points if you call it whether it's a crash or a retirement.
Oh,
I'm calling a crash.
Crash.
So I'm saying that now. I'm calling a crash for mine because Scotty's put in a guaranteed fucking 1 point there, and he's got a guaranteed 1 point for Verstappen. So he's getting 2 points next week. I can see it already.
Yeah.
So I need to go big air on this one. So I'm going Daniel Ricciardo crash.
You gotta play the tactical, baby.
Yeah, I would say that.
You're going crash as well. Okay, we're going 2 points. I'm gonna freeze you out, Scotty.
Fuck you guys.
All right, I am gonna. Oh, fuck, I'm regretting this. I'm regretting this, but I've written it down, so I'm gonna go with. I'm going Albon inside the top 10 as my surprise.
Ooh. Oh, look at
That's
Isidro's
doing my
face.
Are you copying my homework, Isidro? All right, Scotty, who'd you go with?
Pair of spaz. Okay, I'm going for.
Do not say Perez inside the top 10 or something like that.
Oh, I wasn't going to, but no.
But yeah,
I'm
you
not
can't actually finish inside the top 10.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm going to actually go for Daniel Ricciardo inside the top 10. It's a bit of a punt.
Daniel
But-
Ricciardo
Yeah, because
inside the top 10.
actually, when I was thinking of it, I was like, yeah, he's in a McLaren. You know, he's coming back from a. No one knows what. Then I was like, oh shit, he's not actually driving a McLaren.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Yeah,
Isidro,
I'm regretting it
judging
already.
By your
My
face,
surprise will be Perez DNF.
What? Is that not a flop?
I mean, technically is a flop,
It-
but I mean, it would be a surprise as well.
I know
Well,
it would be
really a
surprising.
surprise.
The surprise is meant to be something positive. It's not meant to be a negative.
Kinda, yeah.
It has to be a good result for someone, not a shitty result.
Unless you were kind of saying like a surprise, like fucking Perez's foot catches fire or something like that. Things like that would be a surprise.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like it either has to be it technically it should be something positive, but if it's gonna be something negative, it would want to be something fucking really fucking off the fucking wall.
Surprise. Yeah.
Both Williams to finish the race.
Both Williams to finish the race. They usually always finish the race. I know
Yeah.
Sargent didn't finish today, but he was gonna pass out in the car. You can't have that. You are really reaching today.
Yeah. No, he's under pressure now.
gonna
He's
Back to
under
my
pressure.
album.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
flustered.
He's about to
I'm gonna
he's,
back
about-
to
he's
my
about to
album top
fucking
10.
throw away this.
All right. Yeah. He's just after
No.
going back to his original, I think.
Yeah, Albon top 10.
Going for the points.
I thought you were going. I thought you had a third one up your sleeve there that we were going to veto.
Furiously going through the rule book.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love it.
rifling through my used toilet paper for the rules.
Very good.
Right. Well, that sums up our race review for the Qatar Grand Prix, which was a very interesting weekend indeed. And we will be back in 2 weeks' time for the Austin Grand Prix review. And till then.